Hello and welcome back to Kiwi Labs Pickleball. Today is a video all about 3 very important things that you should know going into 2025 about the paddle landscape of pickleball. So we're going to be talking about 3 crazy kind of things that just happened. I'm going to make it very easy to digest and just as a consumer what you should know before buying a paddle in 2025, or just if you're really curious about what everyone's talking about online, this should catch you up. So let's get into it. Point number 1, we're going to be talking about USAP, USA Pickleball. They've kind of changed the pricing for their paddles. That's the first note here. So why do you care about that? It's important to mention because I saw a couple things very, very recently that kind of scare me, and I want that to be brought to light. So some paddle companies are being very mature right now, and they're backing out of USAP altogether. They're saying, hey, we're making recreational paddles only. We don't see a need for USAP approval. So, we're out. Here you go. Just know that our paddles are for rec play. And they're owning that, and that's great. We've done that with one of our 7 approved paddles. We chose not, like our rec level paddle, we chose not to get it approved, very similarly. But all of our others are going to remain USAP, and we will go through new testing and everything with that. So the problem is with this higher cost, people who are starting brands either are just totally ignorant and don't know what to do about it, or they're purposely not getting paddles approved. So I just kind of hesitate with caution on new brands that you do your due diligence, because now there's a lot more money at stake to start these paddle brands that they might not cross every T, dot every I, get their paddles approved before selling them. So make sure, especially when buying on Amazon, I've heard stories of this happening already too, of it having the USAP stamp, but that's just a file you can find online and, get your paddle with a logo on it. So that doesn't mean it's actually approved if it has that stamp. Make sure you are actually going to USA Pickleball's website under paddles. You're looking it up and saying, yes, this paddle is approved. At least if you care about, playing in tournaments or having a legal paddle. Now, I've always kind of said, if you play at 3-5 or under, no one's going to care. You're not going to care. You're not going to notice if it's approved or not approved. You just want to play pickleball. But when you start playing with people who take the game more seriously, you don't want to be the guy with a illegal paddle that hits too hard. That nobody likes that. And you don't want to just have a garbage paddle anyway either. So, but that's for your own reasons. So that's that. I just want to be very clear that you're going to see, probably earlier my prediction was you're going to see a lot less new paddle brands because of this, double the price to get a paddle approved. Now, what I'm starting to see already, you're seeing the same amount of new brands. You're just seeing them not do it the right way. So it stinks because now as a consumer, you got to know all this. You shouldn't have to know all this. You should just be able to buy a paddle and what it says there, you're good to go. And unfortunately, that's going to make people only want to buy from big name brands because they know that they're doing it right, leaving us guys in the middle kind of on either side of the thing. So I don't love that, but that's where we're at right now. So that's point 1, the USAP change in pricing and how that's affecting you. Now, point number 2, a little more serious, you'll probably see online, is that they're now doing the PBCOR, or paddle ball coefficient of restitution. What that means, and I said that name wrong, but just you're probably seeing PBCOR. What that means is they're testing how fast the ball is coming off the paddle face. And you saw 3 major paddles get delisted: the Gearbox Pro Elongated, the Yola Mod T15, whatever, and then the Black Ace from Pro Connects. And one thing I think that's super important to keep an eye on is these are just the first 3. They've not tested every single paddle on the market with these new PBCOR standards. So, for instance, our paddles have not been tested for that. Now, we're probably not going to have any issues because we've never really made a power paddle. Our most powerful paddle is the Canon, and it just uses standard thermoform technology, so we don't have an extra layer of foam in our power paddle. The paddle that we do add foam to is more for control and comfort, so we have no fear or issues that we'll have any problems around this. But any paddle on the market that's being labeled as power paddle, especially from new medium to smaller brands, probably have not gone through testing yet. So we've just saw these 3 people, like they're not going to be just these 3. They're going to go down the list, and brands that choose to have their paddles tested for the PBCOR and get that certification, which we will do, they're going to have their paddles tested, and that means not everyone will be tested is what I'm saying. So keep an eye out. Try to avoid any Gen 3 branded power paddles until they have that certification. That's about it for that. Just know that, paddles are, things are getting crazy. I don't know what else to say on that. I want to send my empathy to a couple of, I would guess the new carbon paddle that's been pretty hyped up. Probably won't see the light of day, or at least in the versions that were around of it. That's unfortunate. The rhombus ripple seems like it may never happen either, and I feel bad about that too, because I'm sure a lot of work went into those paddles, and I'm sorry to have that happen to those companies. They'll be fine. I'm sure they're going to come up with something great, but they just, got in right at the edge, and at least they didn't get it passed just to have it, delisted a couple weeks later, which very well could have happened. So people have been wondering, why the Ripple has been delayed, why the new unnamed, I don't think it has a name, the new carbon paddle has not ever came out, even though it was supposed to come out a couple months ago, probably because of all of this. So it's an unfortunate part of this whole change, and hopefully we won't see something stir up this crazy again, but who knows? I just don't know, especially with point number 3 here. We're getting into UPAA standards and how a couple brands are pushing back, and I'm really proud of them, and I voice my full support to them. I'm not going to get every name here, but I know Selkirk, Engage, other major brands who are part of the PPA are not paying this between 50 and 100,000 fee to be a part of the paddle approval process for UPAA. Now, you've probably seen the new Yola paddles that have the UPAA instead of USAP stamp on them. I personally don't know if UPAA will last with this new boycott of sorts. Now, they kind of voice that there will play ball as long as UPAA becomes a little more transparent of why they're charging so much. But I think it's a great way for them to push back a little, because it's kind of unfair that the UPAA just kind of said, well, we changed our mind. If you want to sponsor a pro, if you want to be included in these PPA events as a manufacturer, we're actually charging you now a lot more. And we don't care if it's approved by USA Pickleball. Now you're going to pay us to be approved. That's essentially what they did. Maybe there's a little more merit to it. Some people voice that, what they're doing is putting a gate entry through finances to make sure brands that, have the funds, they're doing a good job. Like, they're assuming that if they have the funds, their paddles are going to be up to standard because they're not cutting corners. And by putting that high standard of finance there, they can kind of gate the market, and they can control, standards of paddles. Like, that's their argument. And unfortunately, that's just never all the way true. Is there some truth to it? Maybe. But at the end of the day, they're going to cut out with these high prices, like what USAP does with this new, they doubled their prices. I think that's fair. I'm okay with that. I know a lot of people still don't love that. I don't either, but I don't hate it either, because I see the merit of putting a little pushback and not letting anyone, start a paddle brand for, just $1,000 or $2,000. And you have more skin in the game. You're going to take it more seriously. Now, to the extent of 10x that, probably a little too much in my opinion. And I'm not the only one, because all of these other major brands have decided to sign something. They've sent it to UPAA, and they're saying, hey, we are not going to play ball unless you are very clear with where this money is going. And I'm very proud of them for doing that. Obviously, we don't have any pro players, so I have no reason to be included in that. But if I did, I would be right there with them. Because, yeah, it's kind of insane what they're doing. And there's no need for it. There really isn't. You could voice how annoying the USAP has been. They've been far from perfect, but you got to cut them a little slack with the 100x in new brands and new paddles flooding the market. They're trying to just keep up with that, like, let alone the new technology. So it's a hard balance they're doing. They've raised the funds so they can hire more people and hopefully deal with this now. And I think, like, let's give them a shot to make amends and do this better. They're trying. Let's hope the PBCOR doesn't go insanely wrong, because if that goes wrong, yeah, let's talk about maybe UPAA taking over. But until then, we don't need two entities. It's going to cause 10x the confusion for people like you who just want to play pickleball, and especially, you know, putting a stressful strain on us brands trying to, like, you know, I don't want to pick a side. I'm picking USAP over UPAA all day long. And it's mostly just due to the fact that they were here first. They really haven't done anything wrong other than just trying to keep up with us. So not perfect, but we don't need two. I don't know. So those are the three things. I'm going to sum it up again here. So just know, first, USAP, they have raised their prices. So I need you guys all to be very wary when buying a paddle, which let's blend point 1 and point 2 together. If it's a power paddle that has not been tested for the PBCOR yet, probably stay away. If it is a new brand that has a USAP stamp, make sure you're looking it up before buying it and making sure that it actually is approved. Those are points 1 and 2. And then point 3 is, I don't want to say like stay away from the UPA branded paddles, because that's really just Yola who's playing ball with them right now. So it's more so just an update on like what you're actually seeing. So really no advice there so much as just, you know, I recommend you also keep an eye on just USAP, and we let UPAA figure themselves out, and then we'll deal with them once they're, I don't know, once they have brands other than Yola on their back. Okay, thanks for listening to me ramble. I hopefully edited this nicer than how it came out here. That's it for me. Thank you guys all for a great holiday season. Oh, Circuit's back in stock. Yes. So if you had your pre-orders, those are shipping today. This video is hopefully going out the same day I record it. So if you're seeing this and you had a pre-order, it's going out today. And if you've been waiting, you can buy one. Thank you guys again. I'll see you later. Bye.